Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Pemko number 145 PW. This is a painted white aluminum residential interlocking threshold is what it is. The 145 is representative of the profile of the item, and you can see that there obviously in the camera. The PW stands for painted white, and this is what a painted white surface finish is going to look like on a piece of aluminum material. This item is going to be available in different finishes, and I'm looking at my list here. A for mill aluminum finish. On aluminum-based material, you can get on aluminum-based material, you can get a mill finish. You can have a bright dipped gold finish, which is a shiny metallic sort of looking type of gold. You can do a dark bronze finish. You can do a gold finish, which is a matte gold. You can do the PW for painted white, and then you can do SN for satin nickel. Then, on a different base material, architectural bronze, or some people will call it brass, you can have mill finish, polished brass finish, which would be a 605 finish, a satin brass finish, which would be 606. You can do a 613 finish as well, which would be an oil rubbed bronze, and Pemko might even be able to do a satin bronze process onto the threshold to make it look like a 612 finish. Now, moving on to this threshold, a 145 dimensionally, and there is an image below this video showing the important dimensional properties. It is 4-inch wide. Its overall height is 7/8 of an inch. And these two dimensions together will conspire to make for an incredibly resourceful piece of hardware that you can use in lots of common residential applications. 4 is real good, 7/8 is real good. This is an interlock threshold, so what that means is you are going to get with it a hook strip. This is just a piece of wipe coat galvanized steel and is included with every interlocking threshold that you purchase. And it's going to look just like this. Now, an interlock threshold is incredibly common in residential applications, and it's incredibly effective as well. This will get nailed to the bottom of the door, and when the door closes, you get the idea. That just makes that very positive and mechanical seal to the sill or to the threshold. That can be done a couple of different ways. And I'm going to make a couple of quick sketches here and pause the video while I do so. The common scenario is to attach that hook strip, that heavier line right here, right to the bottom of the door. And obviously that door is going to swing this way and seal off the bottom. Another way that's not necessarily uncommon to do it would be to mortise the bottom of the door so you can hang your door down long on the inside face and even give yourself a bit further ability to retard the transmission of weather through that opening because you've got that inside corner that's right there. This is not uncommon either. And quite frankly, I would say that it's far more common than you might think. If someone's building a $10,000 pair of doors and an entry, well, first of all, you're probably not using a piece of aluminum. You'd probably use the architectural bronze. But to mortise the bottom of that door, to seal that off and drop the door down a little bit further down and close off this area is a very common way to do it as well. New installations is really where you will see that. High-end installations, if it's a back in the early 1960s homes in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, that door is just cut flat. The hook strip's applied to the bottom of the door with nails that are included, and that's how you'll seal the bottom of the door. These hook strips are available separately as well. I think the part number from Pemko is a Z61 for that, and it's not uncommon to buy the hook strips only because given enough time, enough use, a hook strip will fatigue. Enough closing of the door, and what will happen is the holes that are through the hook strip that the nails have pierced through, those will tend to get a little bit ovalized, slotted. The hook strip will begin to become slightly, and over the years, a little sloppy on the bottom of the door, and if it's not mitigated, you're probably going to continue to use it until a point where it fails. Or another thing that happens somewhat often is that when you take the door off the hinges to, say, paint it or move a piece of furniture in, someone unknowingly will take that door and just set it down on the ground and then rehang it and find, oh my gosh, the door doesn't close. Discovering there was a piece of metal nailed to the bottom of the door, you'd replace it for that reason as well. Might be why you'd replace that. Obviously, a dimension from the bottom of the door to the top of the threshold is going to be in the 1-inch range. You can see you've got a nice, generous mouth opening that's there. You need to be able to fit this material in, and it's probably 30 thousandths of an inch thick would be my guess. Let's take a look. It's 20 thousandths, so, you know, it's a third of a 16th of an inch. You could probably get away with something in the range of 3/32 of an inch, something like that, not quite an eighth. You'll have heads of those nails that you'll need to clear as well. But the first time you'll do it, your experience will give you that perfect formula by which to proceed. Now, another option that you can do on an interlocking threshold would be to pick up as an extra the water pan. A water pan is either a piece of sheet metal aluminum or brass that will go underneath the threshold, and you want to have similar metals working with each other. The water pan is simply, if any water were to get inside of the trough, it would leak back down and out through the face of the threshold. That's because the genuine article of an interlocking threshold like this, where it's tall enough to have this berm, it's going to have a hole, or 2 or 3 holes, depending on the length, drilled right down in here. That's called a weep hole. Then the face of the threshold is going to have a very small notch filed in the face of it. The concept is any water that gets in is going to come right back out the face of it, and that's why you might want that water pan that's underneath there. If it's an aluminum water pan, frankly, they're so inexpensive that you could likely discard it without much afterthought should you elect not to use it. But an interlocking threshold is incredibly elegant because it gives you a way to seal that bottom of the door without even having to think about it. It gives you a way to return any water that gets in right back out, again, without having to think about it. And interlock thresholds are very elegant solutions in that regard. The only thing that you have to be mindful of, as you would with anything attached to the bottom of the door, such as a door sweep, is if the kids leave the shoes in front of the door and you come home and push that door there and then continue going, it's likely you're going to damage the shoe and the drip and the J-hook. We call them J-hooks, or hook strips. You can see why we would call it a J-hook. Now, speaking of the J-hook alone, you can order for it an L-hook, which would basically surface mount to the face of the door, and just to reuse one of my drawings here, so that it would look like this. You would substitute this L-hook for the J-hook, and you could also surface mount it. Someone might use an L-hook because they don't want to remove the door from the hinges, so that they can surface mount that to the face of the door. Not uncommon either, but certainly far less common than the J-hook. There are a variety of other interlocking thresholds from Pemko in terms of its dimensional properties. There is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Pemko products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog where you can pull up not only all of the weather stripping that Pemko offers, but what I like to do is perform the find function on your keyboard. Say Control F, type in 145, and eventually you'll get to the page where you'll find that threshold and then be able to review all of the sister products to that threshold. You might find something that suits your application better. Also listed there will be the other finishes that the particular threshold is available in. If you have any questions on the Pemko 145 PW interlocking threshold in a painted white finish, or any other Pemko product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.